Hello, 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 people. It's Jenny HK here, and thank you for joining us on this Google Hangout, one of my favorite things to do, hanging out with inspiring women around the globe. I love this technology. I love that I'm able to sit here in my spare bedroom and talk to amazing women across the other side of the globe. And today, as advertised, I've got Casey Baker with me. Now, Casey Baker is someone that I worked with a couple of years ago now, and she made such an impact on my life at the time. It was really a point where I was really wanting to get out there. I had various things holding me back, and one of those things was really having clarity around what my core message was, and not only that, the courage, shall we say, to actually get out there and speak my truth. Now, Casey is actually one of the world's leading women's training on public speaking and thought leadership. And I'm going to give you her official bio here, and then I'm going to tell you the truth about Casey. So Casey is the founder of the Women's Thought Leadership Society and Speak Up for Your Business. And she's coached thousands of women throughout the world to help them find their authentic voice, many of whom have gone on to book and sold out speaking engagements, speaking on stages such as TED, TEDx, the American Heart Association, Wisdom 2.0, Pioneers, and more, and land previously unattainable media gigs and turn their voice into book deals with top publishing houses. Casey is passionately committed to supporting women in owning and sharing their wisdom. Now that's her official bio. I love it. It's very impressive. But actually, what Casey is, and you know, she is to me, and I know she is to many people, women around the globe, is that she is a total stand for you and your voice and your message. She is fiercely passionate. There's not many others out there that really kind of stand in their power around this. And to watch her, you know, I've watched her over the last 2 years as well and grow into that, and a new mother as well, which is she's here along with, you know, a little baby, and to knowing that as a mother to really play full out whilst you're going through that early stage of motherhood as well. I have full respect, Casey. So welcome to the Hangout, Casey. How are you doing there?
I'm great. Thank you for that beautiful introduction. I feel really honored to have been invited to come and be with you and your women. This is wonderful. So thank you for having me. And ladies, it was such a joy for me to work with Jennie a couple of years ago. I just have loved knowing her and being touched by her message, how that's influenced me. And then watching how your work has just continued to blossom so much in the last couple of years. It's been gorgeous to watch, even though I'm like across a continent and an ocean. You know, over the internet, I can peek on you, and
yeah, and that's the point, right? It's always evolving. My work, and you know, since working with Casey, my message and my work has definitely evolved. At that stage, I was very much about, you know, finding your next thing once you've had kids. And I guess my kids are now that much older, and I found my thing, and I've moved on from that. So, but the point is, the principles stay the same here. So no matter if you feel, you know, that your business is constantly evolving, you know, there is always a core message that is there to be shared. Yes. Now, my core message these days is all around, as you know, irresistible living, which, you know, to me it's about how can you work and live in a way that is irresistible to you. So what I mean by that, you know, how can you do life, basically, in a way that really makes your heart sing? Mm. And I am wildly passionate about this. I, you know, it really stretches me. It pushes me to kind of get out there and walk my talk. Mm. And what I've discovered with this is that, you know, you really have, in order to live this kind of life, you have to become a particular type of person. And one of the the things that I work with my clients on very early on is getting really, really clear on what they stand for and what they believe. And I got to say, Casey, this is something that I definitely learned from you. To get that clarity was a pretty big turning point for me to actually kind of put my stake in the ground and say, this is who I am and this is what I stand for.
Mm.
So I would love just to start there, really, Casey, with to talk about that, because people, from my past experience, you kind of go backwards and forwards of what is it I'm doing, what's my thing, but actually when you go deep inside, you know it, right? And that's one of the biggest things I learned from you. So can you share a little bit around that?
Yes, I mean that's true. Actually, just last week I had a woman on a call that I was on asking me, uh, you know, what if, what she was asking something about she was asking whether a call that I was going to do was going to be supportive for her, and she wrote an email. She was like, what if like I have a feeling like I want to get out there and speak and make a real difference, but I don't know what it is. And I really kind of like just lovingly nudged her a bit on that, and I was like, is that really true? Because I really believe that feeling, if we have that desire inside of us, that longing to make a difference in the world, to use our voice to do that, to speak up and to be a stand for something, to be a voice for something that we really believe in, that feeling has with it a voice. And oftentimes we can have self-doubt on top of it, or fear, or whatever it is, confusion, murkiness. But those kinds of things, we can clear that away, and what's underneath it is just the simple truth of what it is that you believe and what you care about, and what it is that you really are a stand for. And so a big part of finding clarity is also in helping to look what is underneath the self-doubt or fear or apparent confusion that's going on. And that clarity is, that diamond is always there inside of us.
Yeah, absolutely. And those women who have that clarity, they stand out a mile, right? I mean, if I always say to clients, who is it that is, really stands out as an irresistible woman to you? And everyone's got someone, and you can bet your bottom dollar that they know exactly what that person stands for. And once you've got that, and like you said, it's there. It's almost like it's a permission thing, and it's allowing yourself to actually speak out loud and do it on a on a visible stage in some form. The women out there that we all kind of put on a pedestal and admire and everything, they've done that. They've found their diamond insight, and we know exactly what they stand for. Think Oprah, think Michelle Obama, think um, whoever it is, Judy Dench or whatever, people that spring to mind that I think of. You know what they're about. Does that?
It's such an important. It is. Actually, something that you and I had spoken about earlier as we were, chatting before the call. We talked about charisma. What is charisma? And charisma, I think some people think that charisma is just something you either naturally have or you don't. And I actually have not experienced that to be true. I think there are some people who are, for whatever reason, who they are in their spirit or the way they were brought up, they do feel just a greater freedom to get out there and be seen and give to an audience, in some capacity, whatever it is they have to give, music or the spoken word or song or whatever. But that is something that can be opened up within yourself, and it is irresistible. And what it is that you are really so, like, what makes a charismatic person who, let's say in this circumstance, is a speaker. What makes a charismatic speaker? A charismatic speaker is someone who, first of all, they're just really authentic. right? There's something that is just like an honest source of their brilliance that's just coming through. It's just they're rested themselves, they're authentic, but they are so devoted to their audience. They're so devoted to the people who are in front of them. They're so devoted to giving what it is that they have to give to them, and they actually care that it's, you know, that it is really given, that it is really, it makes an impact, or it touches them, or it moves them in some way, but not more than their love of giving it. So for instance, when I say that, I mean that oftentimes before we speak up in any capacity in our life, whether it's on a stage or in a meeting or, you know, some dinner party, we can get really caught in the confusion, the fear of what if people don't like what I have to say. We walk around wanting them to love us first. And the truth is that charismatic people are people who, I think there is a level of them loving themselves and what they have to give and the value inside them first.
That's huge.
They love the people out there so much they want to give that to them. Those other people loving them back is actually, is like second or third in the lineup, you know, and that can be there, you know, that happens. But the commitment to really giving what we have to give and to being a stand for what we are a stand for is primary, and that is irresistible. Those are the most charismatic people. As women, those are really radiant women, really radiant women.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because one of the things that always comes up with my clients as well is self-love. Like, until you have that piece, you know, you can't step out there and do your thing. You can't speak up. You can't just. It's so limiting if you don't have that piece. And you know, it's sad but extraordinary how many people don't have that. So yeah, I'm really glad you said that. It's such a key point for this. So Casey, for those women that are struggling with the clarity, you know, getting that diamond inside, what tips would you give them to actually get to that point where they can say, this is what I believe and this is what I'm about?
Well, I think, yes, so what I would love to do is actually take anyone who is watching this right now through a few questions that will support you in finding that clarity. So the first piece, and you know, this is applicable whether you have a general sense on what it is that you care about deeply and that you want to stand for and speak about in your life, in whatever capacity that is, or if you feel like there's 10 different things that you care about so much and you're not quite sure where to sink yourself in and commit to being a spokeswoman for in your life for, you know, a period of time. I want to, first of all, invite you today to allow yourself to have the spaciousness to today, and it doesn't have to be tomorrow, but today, to let yourself find right now the most essential thing. Give yourself that permission. I think that we can often get into a fear of commitment. And that it can be a leading cause of confusion or fogginess. And it's not actually the message that's foggy, it's the fear of commitment that creates the fogginess. Like, if I commit to this, what about all these other things? Or if I commit to this, if I commit to this message, is this the message that's going to help me build my business and bring me money to feed me so I don't starve and die? Like it's there's a lot that we can like load on.
I'm laughing because I've been there, right?
And we all have. I think I've been there, and so it takes enormous faith in yourself, and like we just talked about, like a lot, just to simply give yourself the gift of loving yourself, just to see what is really truly at the heart of what your voice needs to express today. So the place to start is, I would love for you to contemplate for a moment, and you know, why don't we just take a minute actually and just let's have a deep, long inhale and an even longer exhale. Let's do 2 more of those. Deep inhale. And an even longer exhale. Okay, thank you. Ah, so good to breathe. So, what I would love for you to do is to take a moment, and you can close your eyes to do this if you need to, but I invite you right now to really think about what is the confusion, the challenge, the suffering, the insanity that, as you see it, that's going on in the world that you feel deeply called to support transformation around. Just contemplating that for a moment. And then thinking about who are the people. It could be a planetary thing. It could be a particular subset of men or women or both or children in the world who are experiencing this. I want you to think about who is actually experiencing this major challenge in life. Just let's sink into their world for a minute. Think about, what is it that they experience when they're faced with this challenge. Just let yourself get into that for a moment. This area of life where you feel a lot of compassion and a deep desire to transform. Now, it may or may not be, but I would venture to guess there's probably a large percentage of people who are with us right now who this is maybe something that you have experienced in your own life, or you have dealt with or seen directly in some way, and that it really matters to you. I want you to think about what that is. And like, there are a lot of people, I am sure, and I've been this person where there's so many things that you care so deeply about. So if that's what's going on for you, if one thing is not automatically clear, then the next question to dial it in is to think about what is actually, not to be like a downer. It's not. It's actually, I think, an extremely important gift and is very clarifying. But to think about the incredible gift of our life and the brevity of that. It's we have this time here in this body that we all have, and we can use it to serve, make art, to love. And let's say that you only had a limited amount of time. Right? Let's say that you only had like 5 years. Right? 5 years. In 5 years, you can make a lot of impact in this world in 5 years, if that's what you want to be up to. And so let's say you only had about 5 years of your life to really get out there in some capacity and speak for something to create transformation for some realm of living for people. So if you have multiple things that are going on in your mind about what that might be, I want you to think about, okay, what would be the one most important thing that I would really, really need to serve and support transformation around in my lifetime, so that I can go out of this life feeling like, you know what, I really did give to that which I felt called to give in my soul. So just sitting with that for a minute. I'm just gonna like pause for a minute. It's a major question. These things can change in our life. It's not like you're committed to one thing for the rest of your life, but maybe this is an era of your life where you want to give in some way to this particular concern. And that may morph and evolve, most likely will. But for right now, what is the most important challenge that's going on in the world that you feel called to support transformation around? So, with that question, and you can come back and revisit this, I encourage you to write that down. I want you to imagine that you have that group of people in front of you. And I do encourage you right now for this to have a piece of paper and a pen handy, or if you were more a computer typing person, that's great too, to take some notes and see what comes as these ideas just stream through. And I just want you to be a yes right now. Just give yourself permission to be a yes to everything that comes through. Just be that, okay? We're all doing it. We all have stuff that I think, can come up like, oh, is that the right thing? Really? Is that it? Just be a yes to whatever it is that wants to come through and just write it down. Do it. This is like total loving yourself here, for real, is to write it down. Take it seriously. Write it down. Honor it. So the question is, I want you to imagine right now that you're standing in front of this group of people. Okay, they are whoever they are. It could be a group of women, a particular subset of challenge that goes on for a particular subset of women, children. It could be the entire country of Great Britain. It could be, the whole planet, whatever it is. But you've got a group of people sitting in front of you who either are directly experiencing this challenge, this suffering that you feel called to transform, or they also care deeply about that issue. Okay, they also want to find ways to support transformation around it. So the question that I want you, or the place where I want to give you something to say in your imagining to this community of people, and then I want you to complete that sentence with as many ideas as they come through in the minute that I'm going to give you. You can come back to this exercise, okay? So I want you to write down the question so you can come back to it. So here's what it is. I want you to pretend like you're standing in front of these group of people. Imagine them in some way energetically. I know it's kind of woo-woo, but like you are in this moment. Imagine that. You can visualize them, whatever it is. And say this, if I were to share with you like the most important shift in perspective that you could have to transform the situation or the challenge that you're experiencing, or to support transformation around this suffering or this insanity that's going on in the world, this is the shift in perspective that is the most important you need to have. And then what is that? What is an important way for them to shift their thinking? What ideas are important for them to take on in order to transform their experience of this situation or the situation itself? Okay? I want you to write that down. Standing in front of them, this is the most important shift in perspective that you can have to transform this situation. And then, what is it? Okay? So I want you to take a minute, and I want you to write down whatever ideas come to you that you need to share with them, that you would like to see them take on as new ideas for them to have that can transform the situation they're in or their experience of it. I'm just going to pause here for just a minute. Anything you want to add to that, Jenny?
Yeah, I was just going to say, actually, as a exercise, once you've done that and getting visible, there's a comment section below this video. So if you want to write that message in there, then we would love to see it down there. So, take some time to think about what that is, and then share it in the comments below.
Great, that's so wonderful. Yeah, it's fun to have, one of the things that in my work that we do is something called celebrating and refining. We don't do criticism or feedback or critique in the work in the community with women I work with and getting clear on their messages. We celebrate whatever is emerging, whatever is coming out from their voice, because it is coming from that essential place inside of brilliance. It's already perfect in its nature. And then we can work on refining it. We can work on making it more clear. We can work on adding to it. We can work on taking things away so it just stands more clearly on its own. Whatever it is, we refine it. So that, I find, is a really beautiful way to bring about a lot of joy and a sense of freedom and safety and even greater ideas when you have that kind of environment as women together in that way. So if there's some woman's comment that you see below, feel free to, give a high five, share about if there's anything you can relate to around it. But feel free to celebrate anybody's comments below. Okay, good. So that's kind of a beginning question to ask yourself that can pull out a lot of ideas. And you may have a lot of ideas and a lot of teachings inside of you. And I encourage you to give yourself the time and the space to just bring them out. Do a big old dump of those, okay? And this is partly what I call finding your repertoire of ideas. And there's other questions we can help ask to illuminate that, but that's just the one I want to start with here today for the sake of time. Just find out what is the one shift in what is the shift in perspective that these people can take on to transform the situation or their experience of it. Okay? Change in thought, change in belief, ideas. That's what we're talking about here is thought leadership, right? Spreading ideas that really have a possibility of making a difference in the world. Now, a repertoire of ideas is wonderful to have. You can do a lot of different things about that, and we can talk about that in a minute, how you can get out there and start spreading these ideas in different ways, in different mediums. But what I want to do right now is I'm going to support you in crystallizing. There might be a root idea that I call your diamond insight. That is sort of like, it's what you stand for. It's like the core of what all the rest of your ideas kind of spawn and spin off of. Right? So looking at the list that you have of the key ideas to this question, the shifts in perspective that you want to share, the question then that I would love for you to take on is to imagine now you're standing in front of this group of people and you say to them, before you leave here today, imagine you've just given this talk to them, okay? Before you leave here today, if you could remember just one thing, remember this. And that idea right there, whatever is the completion of that for you, is a fantastic starting point or indicator. That might be a big clue to your diamond insight. It's like the one thing they cannot leave with. It is the one idea that like if they just had that idea, that could really unlock the door of transformation inside of them or inside of the situation, like the most. And then all other kinds of ideas can support that, right? So imagine that right now. Imagine you're standing in front of this group of people who are dealing with this challenge that's going on in life. And you say to them, before you leave here today, you can just remember one thing. Remember this. What is that? And just take a moment right now, write it down, put it in the comments below.
So while people are thinking about that, I'd love to, whilst you're talking, I'm trying to think of what that is for me. So just to kind of give an example of this, I guess. And when I worked with you originally, Casey, my diamond insight was very much around dissatisfaction, and that is a brilliant thing because it is your spirit telling you you're ready to grow and you're ready to, step out, step up, and make some decisions about your life and take personal responsibility. And I'm kind of thinking about how that's evolved from then to now. And it's very similar, but I guess my insight right now to where I'm at in life is if you come from a place of pleasure and desire and make all your decisions based around that, then success is so much easier rather than this place of shoulding or what's going to make me money. If you add as much pleasure and fun and your desires into your life, then you will find that you live a very successful life. And that's what's just coming to me, having heard you say that.
That's so beautiful, and it's just so, there's so much incredible truth in that. I get more and more all the time that the process of how we do anything is actually, we can forget that so much in the business world or in the achievement world, that it's the final outcome or what you get out of it. But man, if you're not loving the process, you know,
Mm-hmm.
it's true. I'm not sure, but at least in my definition as well, I'm not sure I can call that true success at all. So that's really beautiful. So these questions, I encourage anybody here to take these questions, use them. You can use them and get in terms of getting clear on what it is that you stand for. What is your stand for? What matters most to you in your life now that you want to be a spokeswoman for in your life in any capacity? And that could be a spokeswoman for in your family. It could be a spokeswoman in your direct community. It could be a spokeswoman and you want to go run for political office, right? It's whatever that is, the domain doesn't matter. Wherever you are in your life, you have the opportunity to speak up for what you stand for and to radiate that. And that's so beautiful. That's how we really transform our communities in such an organic way. I think there's a feeling or a thought that, like, if you're not out there with like 50,000 fans on Facebook and, or running a major business or some major like internet star or something like that, that like you can't, there's some thought that you have to get to those kinds of images in order to be a woman who is making a big impact in her world, and that's just not the truth.
No.
I mean, I know for me and my work, my work grew very organically, just word of mouth for quite a long time before I even had a website. And just from there, it was because I was so clear on what I believed and what I stood for, that the people who believed what I believed were magnetized to my message. They felt I got them, right? And then because they believe what I believe, and they really were benefited from some of the key ideas that I had to share, they then turned around and helped spread that message. And so one of the ways in which our work in the world can grow and expand, and our impact of our voice can grow and expand, is getting clear on what you stand for and also getting clear on what it is that you believe. And communicating generously about those things in any format, in any way that feels inspiring to you, whether that's through the internet, whether that's in your community, in your home, in your business, at team meetings, whatever it is, in public talks. When you communicate in that way, you're going to attract to you that you become, like Jennie talks about, you become irresistible. Because you become a spokesperson for something that's going on so deep inside of people that they have oftentimes probably a really hard time articulating themselves, but they feel it so deeply. And that is, it's magnetic. It's absolutely magnetic. And people then can help you spread your message when you communicate in that kind of way.
So Casey, for those people that are listening to this and they've got an idea of what that message is, but there is still that thing that's kind of holding them back for speaking it out loud, I guess, and to really, whether that is public speaking or speaking up within friendship groups. I know with what I'm doing now, it's taken quite a bit for me. Like, I'm okay with it now, and having worked with you, I'm completely okay with it. But it took a while for me to feel like I, have the confidence to do that, to literally put myself out there and say, this is who I am, and this is who I stand for, and knowing actually that there are going to be judgments because not everyone's ever going to agree with you, and I definitely had that because obviously with what I do, all about possibility and desires and pleasures, and a lot of people are a little bit like, oh, it's all right for you kind of thing. So I know that there is an element of that when I put myself out there. And I'm quite sure there are other people, listening to this that are going to have those fears. And I'm kind of, I'm all right with it now. Sometimes it's a little bit like, oh, but regardless, I will put myself out there. But for those people listening that aren't quite at that stage, and they know they're holding back for fear of judgment or what people are going to think or their own self-doubt, what advice would you give to them?
Mm. Well, I think that I'll talk about the self-doubt piece because, and I'll talk about the fear piece as well. But the self-doubt, I mean, that's so common, and I know I've lived it deeply in myself. I work with women all the time where that comes up, and there's lots of different ways in which it can arise. Like, if I share this thing or if I do this work, what if nobody responds? Right? What if nobody likes it? And the fear of that rejection is so painful. Like the possibility, the shame, like the fear that you're going to be completely humiliated, right? People around you will think you're crazy. It's formidable. It's really formidable. And so is, the concern that comes up a lot. It's like, what I do, I really want to talk about this thing that I care about deeply, but several people out there are already talking about it too. What makes me any different? They're already doing a great job. They have a big following. Like, I'm nobody. Like, how would I even make a difference? Those come up a lot. And I know there's other flavors of the self-doubt as well, but those are some big ones. And now I think what I have experienced, and I'll share with you, because I had a lot of self-doubt of both of those varieties. And I actually had an enormous teaching in my life about the power of commitment. Mm-hmm. And what I want to urge to you is that it's extremely important to do the very tender, honest work of getting clear on what you stand for. Okay, very important. And when you do that, you can really stand in a place of honesty with yourself. This really matters. Like, I really care about this thing, and there's a choice there. There's a commitment that you can make between sort of the default silent commitment that goes on to self-preservation, protecting our appearance, right? I'm going to protect myself. I don't want to be rejected. I don't want to be humiliated. I don't want to fail, so I'm just not going to do it. That's one layer of commitment. It's usually a silent agreement commitment we make with ourselves to continue to play small because of that fear. Or you can make a very conscious commitment. A very conscious commitment to what it is that you are a stand for and to the transformation that you want to be a stand for in this world. It could be to that. It could be a commitment to your love of life so much that life would give you this incredible gift that you have to either write or sing or dance or whatever that thing is that you long to put out there in the world. That you also have a lot of fear around rejection around potentially, not a self-doubt, whether you're that good, but you love doing it so much that you would commit to that love of yourself, to that devotion to whatever that is for you, God, the divine source life that gives you this gift in your life. You can make a commitment to that. And when we make a commitment to that thing that is so much bigger than us, whether the transformation we want to cause or this incredible God life-given gift that is within us to being expressed and being revealed, what happens is that commitment has such an incredible power to override the powerful voices of self-doubt and fear that have been holding you back. I'm a big believer in the power of whatever that is for you. It could be something as simple as getting a group of friends together or a close friend and saying, I want to share with you about a commitment I'm making in my life. And have witness. I think it's very important to have witness, to declare your commitment. That's why a lot of people get married with a witness, right, with community. You make those vows in the space of community so that they can be there to be a stand for the vows that they have created. You can have someone or some people in your life to be a stand for you in the vows that you are making to how you feel called to serve, what it is that you must say and be a stand for in this life. I did a commitment ceremony where I actually had a ring, a little tiny diamond ring that I wear a lot of the time still. And I made it in April 2011, and my fiance guided it, and we did it overlooking the San Francisco Bay. And I made a commitment to going full out for 1 year of my life in supporting women on this planet and unleashing the brilliance of their voices. I did not know exactly how that was going to happen. The how doesn't matter. But I made a commitment to that impact, to that being in that river of action in my life. And I did it for 1 year because I was one of those people who was completely freaked out about committing for life to something. And so, and that comes through in all ways in my life. I even did like a hand fast for 1 year with my fiance when we first got together because I was a little too scared to get married. But it was great. It was great. And
you know you can't have a baby for just a year, don't you?
What's that?
You know you can't have a baby for just a year.
Well, that's why giving birth was like the ultimate teaching for me and commitment. Like I got to tell you, I was afraid, I think, of transforming my life and becoming a mother. And the birth process, I had these massive realizations about the nature of self-doubt during it, and came out just totally beyond commitment. I mean, it's just so beyond commitment. And that's the way I feel about my work and what I stand for. It's even beyond commitment now. But it took making that conscious commitment. And so that's what I support you in doing. And it is a magical, magical thing, the power of commitment. And one of the best things I've seen to override the fears and the self-doubt and what I call the innocent narcissism. What's going to happen to me?
Mm-hmm. And just on that, Casey, I mean, what I would love to just touch on a little bit is actually that, in terms of what is the impact when you do actually commit and you step out, and really kind of, you know, I just want people to know how powerful this is. And I know for me and my experience when I was working with you, I'd just kind of written a book and I hadn't told anyone about it. It was something I did, and I didn't know what to do with it or how to get it out. And by that point, you know, at that stage, the thought of me standing up and speaking to people or doing something like this, quite frankly, was terrifying. It just wasn't something that I did. And just from my own experience there, within, I think it was it 8 weeks?
8 weeks. Yeah, we worked together for 8 weeks. That
it was
time.
8 weeks. And I suddenly found myself, because Casey does tend to hold you accountable to these things, I suddenly found myself probably about 4 or 5 weeks in. You know, one of the challenges that Casey set me was to actually go out and share my message in front of a audience of some kind. And she said, you know, you can do that in your living room with some friends, or you can actually go out there and kind of do it properly. And that was what I needed. I needed, you know, someone like you to really hold me accountable and feel like you had me. And the next thing I knew, I was organizing this whole great book launch in a spa.
I remember that.
To stand up there and yeah, launch my book to the world. And you know, I thought, oh, maybe a couple of people will turn up, because I didn't really advertise it. The next thing I knew, I had about 50 people in the room, and I'm standing there on a chair, talking at them, not talking at them, talking to them. And it was just the most incredible feeling. It felt very natural. And since then, I found it easier and easier. I mean, that's not to say, you know, I still don't get nervous. I do. But that initial stepping out and going beyond the fear and the self-doubt has opened up like a whole new spectrum for me. So to be able to do hangouts, you know, I've been running an entrepreneurs group where I speak every month, and just, I guess, the confidence just to share what's in my heart as well, and what's authentic to me. So for me, it's had a huge impact, and it's also opened up the way in which I live, which is what I'm all about, in terms of, you know, being able to get my message out, whether I am on a beach in Australia, up a mountain in Chamonix, or sitting here in my home. Like, the internet's a very powerful thing, and for me to now have a voice and to access all these ways of communicating has really changed the way that I'm first been able to do business, and the way that I live my life as well. So personally, I want to say thank you for that, because you opened up a whole new world to me. Um, but
You know,
also,
one point I just want to make about that, because you asked like what happens after you make the commitment, is that you really open yourself up to a lot. You open yourself up to one of the things about sharing your voice in a public domain setting, especially if it's any kind of public speaking setting, or it comes up most frequently there, is that there's a lot of intense feeling, nervousness, a lot of intense sensation, and I really see that as a lot of people call it fear, or something that's challenging to deal with. They want to make it go away, or they want to get rid of it. It's very, very, very uncomfortable. And really, what I see it as is quite frankly that it's actually just an influx of increased energy
yeah,
that runs through our system whenever we're in these spaces or opportunities of sharing our message or giving a gift that we have to give in a way to the public, where you have a lot of people and their attention and their focus on you. And it's actually a very real feeling of your power. It's an increase in your life force energy. But we don't understand what that is, and so when the mind doesn't understand what that is, it sort of freaks out and thinks, oh gosh, what is this? I've got to get rid of this feeling, or something's wrong, or I don't want to do this thing. Danger. There's a lot of discomfort. And so it requires a shift in perspective, and seeing that when we make these commitments and when we really get out there to be a stand and speak in front of other people in whatever capacity about what it is that we're a stand for, that you are going to probably increasingly be put in situations where they're gonna grow you. They're going to require a lot of your focus and your energy, and it's beautiful. It's like our soul is like, yes, and now I'm like, yes, I get to like do my thing, but it requires a lot of extra energy, and so it can create edgy experiences for us in a lot of ways. And
oh
getting
yeah,
out there more, you're going to be on your edge more. And what you're going to find is that it may feel edgy, and there are some ways to become masterful with that intensity of energy, and that's part of some of the things I teach. But the biggest thing is that what you will find is that as you continually go into those places, you will find such incredible deep satisfaction in your soul.
yeah. And you feel alive, right? That edginess is part of it's
Aliveness.
growing. It's like I'm here and I'm experiencing life to actually have that intensity of feeling, and I just have to keep telling myself that when I'm feeling up against it, and it does. You always come through as long as you really like do the work, do the clarity of the message, and there's sometimes I'm not the most prepared person in the world. That's an understatement. But I have to trust, and I have faith in that the message will come out in the way that it's supposed to come out when I stand up and speak, because I have that kind of inner knowing of what I'm about. And you're right, that adrenaline it feels like adrenaline. It's a kick that that kicks in, and you just turn it on. So it's a brilliant one. I think one of the other things, Casey, that I found so um, really profound within the course that I did with you was the support of the going through this with other women, and with the Thought Leadership Society program that you're currently launching at the moment. I can't say enough really about having that support of women there behind you. Do you want to share a little bit about how that works?
We're the Women's Thought Leadership Society. It's a 7-week virtual course, and women from all around the world come together to get totally clear on what they stand for, to find the freedom inside themselves from any self-doubt or fear, to just boldly, freely, generously give of that message, and also to have it spread, to become known for it, so that when people think of them, they think of that idea. When they think of that idea, they think of that particular woman. And so the thing about what makes this course so affected. And last year was the first year we did it. And frankly, I launched that course on a wing and a prayer. And I was like, it was built off a lot of my teachings, and I built a community around it, same format of community that like Jennie experienced in the speech writing courses that she's done with the course that she did with me. And the community and the content together did something amazing. Women went on from that course last year to have like ridiculous success, like TEDx engagements, major media stuff, their messages crafted and turned that they got from the course into book proposals that became book deals. Like their tribes grew a lot online, and so there was it's very effective. And one of the key pieces of why it's so effective is the community of women, the society, because we have a culture in there that is really unlike anything else that I have personally seen, and a lot of them have reported to me unlike anything they've experienced in an online or any kind of educational setting. And the reason why is because very early on we all have a major perspective shift and opening about how the key to all of us rising together in our power, which is really what's happening in this time and space right now in our world, is this is what's happening with women. You know, women's ideas, women's creativity, women's leadership is what is absolutely being called for to create positive transformation in our world. And it's happening like it's becoming like a tsunami. And one of the major aspects of what actually makes that successful and what is essential is celebration of one another. Really seeing that another woman having clarity or having some form of success is actually something that takes us all higher. It's not that one woman being successful or launching this book deal or whatever it is highlights our own way in which we're not doing enough, which can happen a lot in our minds. So this community is all very entrenched in the knowing that as we all have clarity and moving forward and a lot of success in our work and outreach of our voice, we're part of that, and it's fuel for our own message. So the celebration that happens is so much fun. There's such a high from it, and women feel so safe and supported to really bring out what is the truth that is within them and to really stand in it. Because when we come out with what we are a stand for, our ideas, this creativity inside of us, it can feel really vulnerable at the beginning, and it is. It's like a little sprout, from the ground, popping out, and that's a very tender stage. And so having the listening around you that sees you as brilliant, that is supportive of you, that is a stand for you, it's like the sun and chlorophyll and miracle grow and the most fertile soil. It's amazing. So this community is really rooted in celebration and in refinement, right? We are also very much about creating messages that are effective. And so we have a very safe and supportive and fun way of helping to craft your message in a way that's super clear and dialed in, but that is not rooted in critique or criticism or any of that stuff that can shut you down. So the community, the society is, it's magical. It's really magical.
Yeah, I can definitely vouch for that. So, Casey, do you want to share a little about how, what's the structure of the course?
Yeah.
How you're running this time round?
I would love to. It's 7 weeks long, and it starts May 21st. And the way that it works is that during the course, you're going to do a lot of what I call mining for diamonds. We're going to really go in there and excavate what are your most potent ideas. What are the things what is your message that you're a stand for? What are the ideas and teachings that you have to get out there and share? And you're going to actually bring them out. This is the time and place for you to go in there and do the deep dive, to bring them out, get them on paper, on your computer, whatever it is, so that you can then go and repurpose them. And I give you a lot of ways in which I set you to task to go to do that, so that you can, and do it in a way so that you can have them effectively shared, and that it makes it easy for other people to turn around and share them for you. So we also do a lot of work on cultivating your parables. What are the stories? either from your own life, things that you've seen, things that we can pull together that help to share those ideas. Because it's your parables, it's the stories you have to tell, and it's also the authentic essence of who you are that sets you apart from other people who may be sharing ideas that are somewhat similar to yours. And so we're going to get clear on those parables. Also, those are the things that make it really easy for other people to turn around and spread your message. We love stories. Then we're going to write a manifesto. We're going to write a manifesto, and a manifesto is it's a document, it's a written document that it shares what you stand for in a very bold, clear way. You stand in the center, in the heart of your voice, of what you're committed to, and you communicate from that place. So having a manifesto is an amazing thing to share on, it could be your website, something to give. You could turn it into an ebook or a small book, whatever you want to do with it. You can do whatever you want. And that is a powerful thing for people to know you for what you stand for. But it's also a powerful exercise in getting you to communicate from the place of owning the value of what it is you have to say. And that is so important. When you think of women that you see out there who are irresistible women, like Jennie talks about, irresistible and compelling in what they stand for, their presence, they communicate in a way where they own the value of what they have to share and their ideas. And that this work will support you in moving into communicating from that place. And then I'm gonna send you a lot of different things to go do of how to share this stuff either on your website, your blogs, video blogs, any kind of social media marketing, talks. I give you direction on how to then go out there and use this material to essentially be a thought leader, use different multimedia platforms to spread your message. And we also do a commitment ceremony in the course so that you get committed to what you stand for and this transformation that you're committed to. And it's going to set you free to move beyond any of that fear or self-doubt so that you can just be a bold, beautiful, honest spokeswoman for the work in the world.
I love it. It's, for anyone listening here, seriously, this is really powerful work. And I only really invite women on these hangouts who I truly, truly believe in, and who have actually had personal impacts on my life as well. And I think one of when you find your voice and you find your message in this way, it gives you freedom. And I'm all about freedom. It gives you freedom to simply be you. Mm-hmm. And that's a really, really powerful thing. When you're just speaking your truth and you learn to communicate every day from that place of truth and, being authentically you and not being stopped by the fear or the fear of judgment or whatever it is that you've got going for you, it frees you up. And like I said, it's freed me up to work in a certain way that I didn't think it was possible. It's freed me up to live in a certain way that I didn't think was possible. So this is not just about being able to stand up on a stage and speak. It's so much more than that. We're talking about the way in which you live your life, the way in which you connect with other people, and it's something that should be taken really, really seriously. And Casey, I love what you do and what you do in the world because I know how impactful it is.
Thank you. Thank you. I love it too. It's beautiful.
You can tell. So Casey, I've put a link below this video so people are able to come on over and have a look at what you're offering. Now, I know that in the next couple of days that you are doing a bit of a special offer for those people that listen. Do you want to share a little bit about that?
Yeah, anybody here who that is part of your community, part of Jennie's community here, and you can go to this link and you'll see what's there is that we actually have a special offer for you that in the next couple of days, if you come and enroll in the Women's Thought Leadership Society, we're going to give you a $100 gift certificate for the course. And also 4 guest teachers who specialize in various areas of supporting thought leadership that I think are really important pieces in supporting your message and growing and spreading. So I'll talk about those really quickly. The first one is with Michael Ellsberg. So Michael Ellsberg he's got a very, very popular blog on Forbes, and is author of Education of Millionaires and a couple of other books. And when he wrote Education of Millionaires, which was a real success, he got connected with a bunch of billionaires and people in the tech industry who dropped out of college and then went on to create these incredible mega technology empires, and interviewed people about their unconventional education. And after he wrote that book, people weren't necessarily asking him as much about education. They were like, how do you connect with all those billionaires? And he actually is just a very natural networker, and that's just one of his gifts. And he is going to share with you something that is so important in sharing your message, which is how do you get connected with the people who can help you really spread your message far and wide? How do you make connections? Those are massively important. And so he's going to guide you in how to do that in a really authentic way, a really honest, beautiful, connected way, but how to expand your network and get connected to influential people who can support your work in the world, or even, become wonderful personal connections in your life. So that's one. The other is extremely important. This is a woman who has been a client of mine. I've also worked with her. She runs Bombshell Media, or Media Bombshell. Her name is Ellie Scarborough Brett, and she's going to support you in getting clear on your message for the media, which is a very unique kind of messaging, very dialed in and targeted. And she's going to support you in learning how to land media engagements. So she has gotten herself on the Today Show. She was a TV journalist herself, so she knows a ton about this industry and is very masterful at guiding women in this way. We have Tanya Severs-Evans, who's a personal stylist for women thought leaders and speakers. She's actually my personal stylist. She has helped a ton of TEDx women speakers, different CEOs, authors. She's fabulous. She's going to come on and support you. And then we also have Wendy Gollum, who's going to support you in your photography to really be an authentic representation and match for your message. And how do you come through in your photography, really honestly and radiant? And so she's wonderful. She's done a lot of my photos.
Yeah, I know Wendy. She's great.
She is. She's awesome.
Yeah.
So this is the lowdown. And I know that so many of women that Jennie, that you connect with and you pull in, are women who really care deeply about this world and have very passionate love of their life and want to live into that more deeply. So it's really an honor to support any woman in your tribe who really wants to get out there with her message in a powerful way and make a big impact. It'd be wonderful to take you into society.
Brilliant. So let's just get clear on the price for that. So the standard price is is that right? 500?
$595.
$595, and then we're doing a $100 gift certificate for the people on this call if they enroll by midnight Pacific time on Wednesday. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay, so $595. So you're getting that for $495, which, quite frankly, well, you know what I think about that. So the link is below. If you look in the comments below this, I put it in there. There actually should be a big link on here. I'll get that up right after the call. But the link is there. If you scroll down, it's the Women's Thought Leadership Society .caseybaker.com/Jennie with an IE, JENNIE -Harland Khan special, which is a little bit long-winded, but you will see it if you just scroll down underneath this video. If you click through there, you will be given all the information that you need. Okay, so Casey, thank you so much for coming on this call today. It's been such a pleasure for me as well to really catch up with you. And really, I hope you guys listening out there have got some really good value from Casey's message, and go ahead and check out that sales page. It really is very, very impactful work that Casey does. So Casey, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, and it was a real joy to connect with you, Jennie.
It's a pleasure. Casey, keep in touch and good luck with this program. I know you don't need it at all. You will be awesome. You always are. And yeah, I look forward to seeing and hearing of the results of the people coming out of your course. I'm quite sure we'll see some of them out there doing their TED Talks. But just on that quickly, you don't have to want to be up there doing a TED Talk.
Right. It doesn't have to be your dream. You could just, it doesn't matter. You can, this is also totally applicable if you really are on a team in your work and you want to feel more confidence in sharing your ideas in your team. This is applicable if you want to be a deeper stand for who you are in your direct community. And so it doesn't, this isn't about the ultimate goal of getting a TED Talk per se, but just about you just owning who you are in all dimensions and being a real voice for that.
Brilliant. And I'm just checking over here. Actually, the button is up. So there's a green button there. Sorry, Claire, if you're listening to this. The button is there. Just click through on that, and that will take you through to the page to tell you all about it. All right, Casey, I'll let you get back to your beautiful baby.
Thank you.
Yeah, keep well, and we'll speak very soon. Thanks again.
Bye, everyone.